Wow, almost 600,000 views of my Force Awakens video discussing why Kylo Ren did what he did at the end of the film. And I've gained over 1,000 subscribers from it. And it's been really awesome of you guys. Constant comments and everything going on to the point where I just can't keep up with them. Arguments, debates, whatever. You know, occasionally I might slip in there and say something, but other than that, I've just kind of let you guys go. But one thing I've been seeing frequented a lot on that video is people saying that I'm an Abrams fanboy or a Star Wars fanboy, and that the new movie was utter garbage. It was, copy-paste from the original trilogy. It had no new ideas, yada, yada, yada. And, yeah, you're completely right. The Force Awakens is basically A New Hope reimagined. But see, there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. For the last 10 plus years, ever since 1999 gave us The Phantom Menace, everyone has been wanting something like the original trilogy. For years, everyone was comparing all of the prequels to the original trilogy, saying it didn't have this, it had this, it didn't have this, it had this, but was missing this. It was saying the characters were so amazing in the original trilogy, but sucked in the prequels. The politics, the action, the effects, this, that, and everything else. And it was the popular thing to hate on the prequels. Well, now that we have the new movie, all of a sudden, everyone is giving it shit because it's like the original trilogy. Now, to me, that doesn't really make sense, because since The Phantom Menace, we've been yearning for a movie to recapture the magic of the original trilogy. Revenge of the Sith, in 2005, was the closest that it got to making it have the original magic, but still it had its faults and held itself back, which almost made it more painful than anything else. Though it was a good film, it just didn't have what it needed. And for such a long time, everyone was thinking Star Wars was done for. It's the popular thing to hate on the prequels. Everyone hates Jar Jar Binks. Everyone makes fun of the sand line from Attack of the Clones. Everyone makes fun of how cringeworthy some of the things are and how disgustingly awful and unbelievable the romance between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman is. I've had better romances with a chair. So, the thing is, this new movie came out, people were praying it would be different from the prequels. Then all of a sudden, everyone's bitching and moaning that it's too much like A New Hope. So wait, it's not that garbage that we've been subjected to since '99, but instead is what we've been wanting, and it's still not good enough? See, that's the thing. There's no pleasing people. In my opinion, The Force Awakens is completely like the original trilogy. Yes, it combines so many elements. You have, a wanderer, loner kind of person who believes they're destined to something greater on a desert planet with someone who really isn't their family. Luke had his aunt and uncle, which were kind of really, but not really. Rey has no one, and events transpire with the Empire, now First Order, above the planet, information going into a droid, leaving that planet, being chased by the Empire, the First Order, going to a cantina, yada, 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 the mentor dies, so on, destroying a big base. There's so many similarities. We could go on and on about that. But see, here's the thing. I think Force Awakens needed to be that way. Because we were very, very worried about what the new entry in the Star Wars franchise would be like. We suffered through the prequels and we're thinking, oh God, could this possibly be worse? Please let it be better. And it is better. Now, the prequels aren't terrible. It's the popular thing to hate on them, yes, and they're not great. And there's a lot of things to laugh and joke about, but they're truly not that bad. I think we all need to agree on that. That's kind of like hating on Nickelback. Even though Nickelback is total garbage and all their songs sound the same, they could be a lot worse. But it's everyone's favorite thing to just keep talking shit on them all the time. Now, that's the thing, though. Those were not very good movies. So now that we have a film that is returning to the style of what everyone wanted, all of a sudden a lot of people are upset about that. I think this needed to happen because they needed to show that they could make a good film. So the creators, including Abrams obviously, even though he will not be directing the future films, which kind of sucks, he went and said, all right, this is what A New Hope was. Let's change things up a little bit, but give the people what they've wanted. And that's the thing. People don't get it. This is what people have been asking and begging for, is something like the original trilogy, to return to what it was. Do we want a new story? Yes. Will this develop into a new story? Absolutely. I think it will. But they needed to have a starting point in which they could show look, we can give you what you want. We are capable of handling this franchise, and we're not going to run it into the ground. This was sort of the apology movie. It had a lot of callbacks and a lot of references to what people loved, and that's what this was trying to do. Show everyone that they can make a competent and good Star Wars movie before starting out on its own path and adventure. It's the setup movie. We meet our characters, Rey, Finn, Poe, and obviously Kylo Ren, and Snoke, and Hux, and Captain Phasma. We have all of these people. And sure, some of these actors, like Andy Serkis with Snoke, like Gwendolyn Christie for Phasma, were kind of wasted here. But I think they will be more featured, I hope so, in the following sequels. This was the setup film. This was the apology. This was Abrams saying, as well as the rest of the studio, Disney, saying, look, we understand where Lucas went wrong. Here's what we can do. We're showing you that we can pull off a good film. So here's something that's familiar and that you will love. Because all of a sudden, now that we're 10 years past the release of Revenge of the Sith, a lot of people are suddenly running to the prequel's defense. I understand they're not that bad, but they're also not that good. And they're saying, because I made an offhand comment in that Kylo Ren video, saying that the prequels were, so sufferingly bad, and now finally we have a new great movie. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're an original trilogy snob. I think the prequels are better. And there's a lot of people all of a sudden saying that. Whereas, just before Force Awakens came out, it was still the popular thing to have in the prequels. Now, all of a sudden, because Force Awakens is almost an entire copy-paste of A New Hope and several other elements of the original trilogy, all of a sudden everyone's flocking to defending the prequels because it's now the cool thing to do because the in-movie copied the original trilogy. I'm not sure how it worked when for such a long time everyone wanted something like the original trilogy, and now that we got something almost exactly like it, people are pissed. And I honestly think enough was changed to make it interesting. Yes, we knew Rey was going to leave Jakku. Yes, we knew that Starkiller Base was probably going to have a fight and was going to be destroyed. Yes, we probably knew that Han Solo was going to be killed by Kylo Ren. Yes, we figured Kylo Ren was Ben Solo, Han Solo's son. We figured all of these things. We saw the Cantina scene. We saw the attack on Jakku at the beginning. We saw the massive Star Destroyer at the beginning. We saw the planets be destroyed. There are so many things like A New Hope. But it's also different. And in a way, it goes to, you could say, if you're wanting to be cynical, you could say it plays on our nostalgia. And that's what anyone could say about the Star Wars movies. Anyone could say they're utter shit and are just playing on our nostalgia. And that may be so. But I hardly think that gives someone a right to say someone else is wrong for enjoying it. I loved The Force Awakens. Is it better than the prequels? Most certainly. Is it going to be the best of the new trilogies? Probably not. It's the setup. But it's a worthy entry into the franchise. And I think it's wrong for people to just go on and say, oh, The Force Awakens is shit because it's just A New Hope. And then I say, well, would you rather watch The Force Awakens again, or would you rather watch Attack of the Clones? And I'm pretty sure you'll get your answer. There's a lot more effort put into this. This is the apology. This is the setup. This is the affirmation that this studio, now owned by Disney, now in this case with Abrams, can do it well. And I'm no Abrams fanboy. This is actually the first J.J. Abrams movie I've ever seen. This is a Star Wars fanboy talking here. And I'd be the first to say, yes, Star Wars is an utterly predictable franchise. It takes very old ideas and makes them interesting. And Star Wars has never claimed to be anything but. If you look at a lot of things about it, it always said that it took ancient ideas that are almost as old as time itself and just added a little new life to them. Added some new and memorable characters, but kept the idea that has been so familiar. And perhaps that's why it's so massively cultural. Because you don't have to be some super geek to get it. Of course, it allows for that if you so desire to really delve into its universe and get into, the expanded universe after and before the films, like the KOTOR games. Love that. And also it allows for just a casual person to go see the movie and understand it. You don't have to be some super geek to enjoy Star Wars. You have a very basic, simple premise. Darth Vader, the villain, Princess Leia, the good guy. Luke, the good guy. Obi-Wan, the good guy. Han, the lovable rogue who becomes the good guy. You have the massive Death Star. That is clearly the ultimate weapon of the bad guys. You know, even the colors are so exact. Darth Vader with all black, red lightsaber. Obi-Wan wearing, you know, more a brown and white tan robe with a blue lightsaber. There's so many things from color theory and scheme to the way there's designing to almost a knucklehead could get it. But that's not why it's good. It's good because it takes those very simple things and makes them so vastly entertaining. I would never say Star Wars is a complex movie or franchise. It's very simple, but can get complex if you want to delve into it and get into the expanded universe. But it's also made so that everyone can enjoy it, and that's why it's become so massively popular. Now, did Force Awakens have its drawbacks? Yes. I think some of the political situations could have used a lot more explanation. When they wiped out all those planets, it failed to make me understand, you know, okay, so what's the difference between the Republic and the Rebellion? The Resistance. I understand the Resistance is an offshoot of the Republic, but why is it so illegal in a way to the First Order? How is the First Order such a massive political body if the Galactic Empire was overthrown? I understand it probably utilized the bank funds of the Galactic Empire. Who knows? But there are a lot of things that are uncertain, as well as how the hell did they get away with building Starkiller Base, which is bigger than either of the Death Stars combined. It's the size of a planet, because the Death Stars themselves were confused for being moons. So it's huge. How did they get away with this? Did they build it in the Maw installation? All these new things, how did they happen? There's a lot of things that could have used a lot more explanation. But I think we'll learn that in the forthcoming films. In this case, they wanted to keep it simple, stupid. They wanted to show us what we wanted to see. And that is sort of, I don't mean to draw such a comparison here, but I think of, you know, they're not my favorite band, but I used to really be into, when I was like 12 years old, I used to be into Linkin Park. I think everyone was in some way. And if anyone has followed their career, they know Hybrid Theory and Meteora were greatly lauded and respected albums within that genre. People said they were utter masterpieces, they loved them. Then Minutes to Midnight started to experiment a little bit. I liked it. And then they did 1,000 Suns, really quite different, and people started to talk shit, just as they did with Minutes to Midnight. They said it was terrible, Linkin Park lost their way, and for a while maybe they did. Then they did the album after that, which was Living Things, which was really an odd one for them. I still thought it worked well. And then they did The Hunting Party, which was a return to the heavy sound and style that Linkin Park does. Was it that industrial sort of nu metal kind of sound? No. But was it heavy? Was it angry? Yes. Was it some sort of forcefulness that they were missing for many years? Yes. They finally gave fans what they'd been wanting to hear for many years. And all of a sudden, people are pissed. It's like, Linkin Park, you fucked up, you sold out, But this is what people have been wanting forever. The Hunting Party is probably the best thing you're going to get from Linkin Park in terms of heaviness since Meteora. People don't get that. It's what they've been asking for. It is the heavy album they wanted from this band. But yet they get pissed about it for some reason. Just as well with Force Awakens. This was the return to the original trilogy. Perhaps a little too close of a return, yes, but this was a return to what made Star Wars good. It abandoned the shitty over-CG of the prequels, the shitty politics, the shitty constant conversations that went on to no point, the action that really was just lamely choreographed. I mean, it was beautifully choreographed, but it felt lame in the end because it felt like they were just doing a dance. There was no personal involvement to the duels. Yes, they were more pretty to look at, but there was so much more tension in a duel, like between Luke and Vader at the end of Empire on Bespin, rather than, say, Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon at the end of Phantom Menace. Was that a more pretty to look at duel? Yes. But the passion and the actual character, emotion, and motivation behind it felt a lot more in Empire. Just as well with the final duel at the end of this movie between Rey, Finn, and Ren. So, in the end, I think it's a little too much for people to be bitching on this movie because of that. I thought it was great. I loved it. Obviously, not everyone has to. You can dislike it if you want. That's totally, it's a free country. It's a free world. You can do what you'd like. I just think people are being a little too overly critical and all of a sudden flocking to the prequels because this movie probably did play it a little too close to A New Hope in the original trilogy, but at the same time, I feel like that's not a bad thing. It is in fact probably a good thing, because this was sort of the re-welcoming into the series, saying, hey everyone, the ones that were lost by the prequels, come back. Give us a chance. We'll show you we can do well. We'll take the story you know so well and sort of do a redux of it. Give it a new flair, a new taste, but also at the same time make it very familiar. It's like changing the recipe to a food you know very well and still making it enjoyable. I honestly think, bottom line here, and I know I'm hardly one to speak since I've been bitching and ranting on this for over 15 minutes now, but honestly, people need to lighten up. It's a movie. It's fun. It's entertainment. You don't need to criticize the shit out of everything. And I know, again, this is the pot calling the kettle black, but sometimes I think the best thing to do is to just shut up and enjoy it. I know that's what I did. I could have torn it apart, but I enjoyed it. Is it the best film ever? No, not at all. Does it have its flaws and logic and loopholes? Sure. Plot holes? Yeah, aplenty. But was it fun? Was it entertaining and was it enjoyable? Absolutely. And in the end, that's all it had to be. I was very pleased by it. And if it was entertaining and enjoyable, then who cares what they did with it? Because it was a great time and a great film. And it was a return to the old style that we had all wanted. It was the apology, it was the restoration of faith, I think, saying, hey, here's the favorite story that everyone knows and loves. We're going to do it again. Please come back. Give us another chance. And that sets the groundwork for what the next two movies will be hopefully a more original story. So honestly, I think there's nothing wrong with the fact that this was just like the original trilogy. I think it almost had to be that way. And I think people who are just giving the movie so much shit and just overlooking the fact that it had so many good things going for it, and instead just focusing on the fact that it was a copy-paste to the original trilogy in some respects, and a lot of them, yes, it was. I think people who are focusing on that are literally throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I love that phrase because I love the thought of a baby going out a window. But I think people need to lighten up a little bit and just take it easy and enjoy this stuff, you know? That's my take on it, and thank you all so much for coming out and watching, and for that tremendous support on my other Force Awakens video analyzing Kylo Ren's decision to kill Han Solo at the end of the film. I'll see you all around very soon, and if you don't know, I'll be doing a Q&A answer session in about 2 weeks. I uploaded the video where you can place your questions in the comments. It's just over there in the related videos. Go check it out. I'll be doing that coming up very soon, so go ahead, put your questions in the comments, and I'll be answering them in a few weeks' time. Ask me anything you want. I'm open to it all. Thanks for checking it out, and may the Force be with you.